The rain hadn't stopped for hours. It fell in sharp needles against the cracked pavement of downtown, soaking through cheap sneakers and forgotten dreams. Isabel Devereux pulled the thin hoodie tighter over her head as she pushed her cart of half-salvaged junk across the narrow alley. She'd been out since morning, looking for anything that could buy her a hot meal or a couple of clean hours at the laundromat. A toaster that kind of worked, a cracked mirror, half a bike wheel. Nothing was too small to matter when you live day to day. She was turning the corner by Holloway Bridge when it happened. A black sports car, sleek, monstrous, the kind that didn't belong in a neighborhood like this, came careening around the bend. It hydroplaned across the flooded street, spinning, metal shrieking as it slammed into a pole and flipped. 1 second it was just noise. The next, glass rained like confetti. Isabel didn't think. She ran. Heart hammering, lungs burning. The car was upside down, smoke pouring from the hood. Gasoline leaked into the street like a warning. The windshield was a web of shattered glass, but inside, someone was alive. A woman. Her face bloody, but conscious, dazed. Struggling. Isabel dropped to her knees. Hey. Hey. Can you hear me? The woman turned, tried to speak, coughed hard. Her lipstick was smeared redder than the blood trailing down her temple. Her eyes, sharp, ice gray, locked onto Isabel's like a command. Help me, she said, voice rasping like gravel. The passenger door was crushed in. The driver's side was half wedged under the twisted railing. Shit, Isabel muttered. Hey, if you're enjoying this story, go ahead and drop a like to help us grow even more. And let me know in the comments, on a scale from 0 to 10, what score would you give this story so far? Your feedback makes all the difference. She didn't have time to think. The smell of fuel was stronger now. Okay, don't move, just stay awake. With trembling hands, Isabel grabbed a piece of metal and jammed it beneath the door, levering her weight against it. Her shoulder screamed. It didn't budge. Another try. Then another. Finally, with a groan of tortured steel, the door cracked open just enough. Smoke clawed at her lungs, but she reached in, grabbed the woman under the arms and pulled. Come on. The woman was heavier than she looked, elegant in black silk, heels snapped, blood soaking through her sleeve. But Isabel dragged her out, falling back into the rain as the woman landed half on her chest. A second later, the engine sparked. Flames bloomed. The car exploded in a brilliant orange roar. Isabel threw her body over the woman's, shielding her. Debris rained. The blast wave knocked out the streetlights. For a moment, the world was only noise and heat and a heartbeat in her ears. When she looked up, the woman was staring at her. Not just with shock. With something else. Awe. Disbelief. Something dangerous. You saved my life, the woman said, voice ragged but clear. Are you hurt? Isabel asked, brushing ash from her cheek. No, the woman's eyes narrowed. What's your name? Isabel. You? A long pause. The woman blinked slowly, as if tasting the weight of the truth before she lied. Nora. Isabel didn't know that name was fake. Didn't know the woman's real name was Norina Moretti. Didn't know it was whispered across the underworld like a curse. Didn't know that the car wasn't an accident. It was an attempted hit. And she, the girl who lived in a shelter and ate from dumpsters, had just saved the most feared mafia queen on the East Coast. Sirens in the distance. Blue and red lights reflected off wet pavement. Isabel stood helping Norina, to her feet. You need a hospital. No hospitals, Nora said sharply, her grip on Isabel's wrist tightening. No police. No ambulance. Isabel frowned. What? You almost died. Please, Nora said, and the way she said it, low, urgent, commanding, made Isabel pause. Just get me out of here. I'll explain later. Against all logic, Isabel nodded. She didn't know why. Maybe it was the desperation in the woman's voice. Maybe it was the way those gray eyes stared straight into her. Or maybe it was that small, reckless part of her that had always wanted something, anything, to happen. Something more. Isabel wrapped Nora's arm around her shoulder and led her down the alley, away from the fire, away from the sirens, toward the shadows. Neither of them noticed the black SUV parked 3 blocks away. Tinted windows. Engine running. Watching. Following. And as they disappeared into the night, a man inside raised a phone to his ear. "She's alive," he said. "But someone got her out. A girl." He listened, then nodded. "I'll find her." The air in the abandoned textile warehouse smelled like dust, mold, and forgotten lives. Isabel had never brought anyone here before. It wasn't much, just 4 cracked walls and a roof that only half worked when it rained, but it was the closest thing she had to a home. She laid Nora down on the old mattress in the corner, careful not to touch the blood-soaked part of her blouse. The woman had barely spoken during the walk. Her body leaned heavy against Isabel's, her heels long gone, one earring missing, mascara streaking down her face like war paint. But her eyes remained alert, watching everything, measuring. Even now. "You should really let someone look at that wound," Isabel said, squatting beside her. "You're losing blood." "I've had worse," Nora murmured, her voice hoarse but dry, like she was used to pain. "No hospitals." "I meant it." "Then let me clean it." Isabel stood, rummaged through a metal crate filled with half-used supplies, pulled out a stained towel, a chipped bottle of rubbing alcohol, and a needle she'd once used to fix a backpack. It wasn't sterile, but it was something. "I don't trust people easily," Nora said suddenly, her voice slicing through the silence. "But I trust you." "That's unusual." Isabel stopped. Her fingers trembled slightly, but she didn't show it. "You don't even know me." "I know you ran toward a burning car." "That's more than most would do." Isabel crouched beside her again, dipping the towel in alcohol. "Hold still. This'll sting." "I'm used to pain," Nora repeated. But when Isabel pressed the towel to the cut on her ribs, Nora flinched. "Just slightly." "Enough." Isabel bit back a smile. "Sure you are." For a moment, they were close. Closer than they should be. Isabel could smell her perfume beneath the smoke and blood. Something expensive, floral, but dangerous. Like roses with thorns. Nora looked up at her. Those ice-gray eyes locked with Isabel's again. There was a moment, too long to be casual, too sharp to ignore, where neither spoke. Then Isabel blinked and looked away. "This might need stitches." "I can try." Nora nodded. "Do it." Isabel had sewn torn fabric. Skin wasn't so different. She threaded the needle, her fingers working with a focus that surprised even her. Nora didn't cry out. She just watched. Isabel's breath caught at how silent she was, how controlled. "You've really done this before," Isabel muttered. "I grew up learning how to survive," Nora replied. "In my world, weakness gets you killed." Isabel hesitated. What world is that exactly? A pause. Nora's lips curled into the shadow of a smirk. A complicated one. Isabel didn't push. She could feel the walls around this woman, thick, guarded, built brick by brick out of secrets. But under them something flickered. Something vulnerable. When she finished stitching, she stood and wrapped a torn sheet around Nora's waist to hold the wound. "You'll need rest. Food." "I don't have much, but you've done more than enough," Nora said, sitting up slowly. "Why?" "Why what? Why did you help me?" Isabel shrugged, but her voice was quieter. "Because you needed help." Nora's eyes softened.
Just barely.
"No one's helped me in a long time without wanting something in return." "Well, I'm no one," Isabel said. "And I don't want anything." Nora tilted her head. "You're not no one. And you will want something. Eventually." The words hung heavy in the room. Isabel turned away, trying to ignore the way her heart was beating faster. She wasn't used to being seen. Not like that. Not like someone who mattered. She busied herself with her bag, pulling out a pack of crackers and an old apple. "It's not much, but it's perfect," Nora said, accepting them. She ate slowly, mechanically, as if tasting was unfamiliar. When she was done, she leaned back, her gaze never leaving Isabel. "You're different." "Is that good?" "That's dangerous." Outside, the rain had stopped, but something darker hung in the air. Isabel went to the window, peered through the cracked glass. Nothing. Yet she couldn't shake the feeling they were being watched. Nora sensed it too. She stood slowly, wincing. I need to make a call. There's no signal here, Isabel said. Too many buildings around. Then I need a burner. Somewhere I can talk. Isabel hesitated, then nodded. There's a payphone 2 blocks down. Doesn't always work, but sometimes it does. Will you take me? Isabel didn't know why she said yes. She didn't owe this woman anything. But the way Nora looked at her, like she was already part of something bigger, made her feel seen. And maybe a little terrified. They moved through the shadows, keeping to the alleys, Nora leaning on Isabel more than she'd admit. When they reached the rusted payphone, Nora pulled a crumpled piece of paper from her bra. She dialed a number from memory. Spoke in fast Italian. Isabel didn't understand a word, but the tone chilled her. It wasn't just serious. It was lethal. When she hung up, she turned to Isabel. You're in danger now. Isabel stiffened. What? Whoever hit my car, they'll come after you too. You were there. They'll think you know something. But I don't. That doesn't matter. Nora's voice was firm. You saved my life. That makes you a liability. Unless what? Unless you stay close to me. I can protect you. Isabel stared at her. You still haven't told me who you are. Nora stepped closer. Her voice dropped to a near whisper. I'm someone with a lot of enemies. And now you have them too. They walked back in silence, the night pressing against their skin like a second layer of dampness. The warehouse loomed ahead, quiet, but different now. Every shadow looked like a threat. Every sound a warning. Isabel kept glancing at Nora, who moved slower now, her strength waning. You should rest, Isabel murmured as they entered. Nora gave a faint nod, collapsing gently onto the mattress, like a fallen queen. Isabel pulled the blanket over her and sat beside her, trying to slow the frantic rhythm of her thoughts. You still haven't told me who tried to kill you, she said finally. Nora exhaled. No one tries. They decide. What does that mean? It means this was a message. Her eyes met Isabel's again, piercing. They missed me, but they'll try again. And if they saw you help me, they did, Isabel interrupted. There was a car. I didn't see their faces, but I felt it. Nora closed her eyes briefly. Then it's already started. Isabel folded her arms tightly over her chest. And I'm what? Just collateral damage now. No, Nora's voice sharpened. Your leverage. They'll want to know who you are. What you mean to me. And what do I mean to you? Isabel asked before she could stop herself. Nora opened her eyes again. I don't know yet. But I know I owe you more than I've ever owed anyone. Isabel looked away, heart pounding for reasons she didn't want to examine. I didn't do it for that. That's exactly why it matters. Outside, a car passed slowly. Too slow. Isabel froze. Nora sat up instantly, her hand reaching beneath the mattress instinctively, as if expecting a weapon. Of course, there was none. Just moldy stuffing and dust. Do you have anything here? A back exit. There's a service stairwell that leads into the alley behind the pawn shop. But it's tight. Show me. They moved quickly, Nora ignoring the pain in her side, Isabel guiding her through the dark like she'd done it 100 times. When they reached the stairwell, they listened. Nothing. Just wind and a distant bark. But the unease didn't fade. When they returned to the mattress, Nora didn't lie down again. She paced instead, tension coiled in her body like a live wire. You need to understand something, she said suddenly. My world doesn't forgive weakness. Or kindness. What you did tonight, it's seen as interference. I was just helping someone who needed it, Isabel replied. That's all. That's everything, Nora snapped. You think you've been invisible your whole life, Isabel? You're not anymore. You're in the middle of a war you didn't ask for. And they'll come for you to hurt me. Isabel swallowed. Then tell me how to survive it. Nora paused. Her face shifted, less steel, more something else. Respect. Or maybe regret. You stay close. You listen to everything I say. And you don't ask questions unless you're ready to hear things you can't unhear. Isabel nodded. Okay. Nora looked surprised. That's it. I've been living in fear my whole life. Different kind, but still fear. If this is what it takes to stay alive, then yes. That's it. Nora took a step closer. You don't even know who I am. Not yet, but I'm starting to see what you are. Nora arched a brow. And what's that? Isabel's voice was low. Someone who doesn't trust easily. Someone used to power, but who's also exhausted from carrying it alone. Nora's lips parted, but no sound came. She looked like she wanted to laugh, or scream, or fall apart. Instead, she reached up and touched Isabel's jaw. Just lightly. Her fingers traced the skin near her ear, down to her chin. You talk like you see through people, she whispered. I try. Then what do you see when you look at me? Isabel didn't answer. She couldn't. Her throat tightened. Nora stepped even closer, and suddenly they were standing breath to breath, the space between them electric. Do you think I'm a monster? Nora asked. I think monsters bleed like anyone else, Isabel replied. And I think you've been bleeding for a long time. The silence between them was charged now, intimate. Nora's eyes searched Isabel's face, softer now. She leaned in just an inch, then stopped. Pulled back. Get some sleep, she said, voice strained. We leave tomorrow. Go where? To my world. If you want protection, you have to come with me. And if I don't? Nora hesitated. Then you die. So, do I. Isabel didn't sleep that night. She lay beside Nora on the floor, the two of them separated by inches, by secrets, by something deeper. She listened to Nora's breathing, slow and controlled, like she was forcing herself not to dream. Outside, the city stirred. Isabel's old life, the one filled with hunger and invisible days, was gone. Burned up with that car. She'd stepped into someone else's war. Someone else's orbit. And something told her she was never getting out of it. They left just after sunrise. The sky was gray, hung low and heavy like the weight in Isabel's chest. Nora moved with purpose despite her injuries, her jaw set tight, every step a silent command. Isabel followed, a step behind, unsure if she was walking into protection or a prison. They took side streets, alleyways, places where light didn't reach. Isabel didn't ask where they were going, not yet. She didn't need to. She could feel it in the way Nora's posture changed the closer they got to the edge of the city. This was familiar ground to her. Dangerous, but hers. When they reached the car, Isabel hesitated. It wasn't just a car. It was sleek, armored, the kind of black that swallowed reflections. A man stepped out from the driver's seat. Tall, clean-cut, scarred beneath the left eye. He looked at Isabel like she was a threat. Or bait. She's with me, Nora said simply, sliding into the back seat. The man didn't argue. He opened the door for Isabel, then shut it hard behind her. As the car pulled away from the crumbling edge of the city, Isabel glanced at Nora. That man. He didn't ask questions. He knows better, Nora replied, not looking at her. Do you always travel with bodyguards? Only when I expect bullets. Isabel exhaled. What happens when we get there? You'll meet the others. They'll want to know who you are, why you're with me, if they can trust you. Can they? Nora turned to her then, eyes unreadable. I haven't decided yet. The drive was long, silent except for the low hum of the engine and the occasional sound of Nora breathing too shallowly. She was in pain, hiding it well but not perfectly. Isabel watched her hands, the way her fingers twitched now and then, like she was calculating a dozen outcomes every second. They passed through a private gate an hour later, into a massive estate surrounded by trees and stone walls. The house at the center looked like it had been stolen from another world. Elegant, old, terrifying. The kind of place that didn't just belong to money, it belonged to power. Isabel's breath caught. This is where you live. It's one of them. How many homes do you have? Enough to disappear when I need to. They exited the car, and Nora leaned slightly on Isabel as they walked up the marble steps. A man opened the door before they even reached it, bowing his head. Nora gave him a glance. Prepare a room, and have Luca bring the file on the girl. Isabel blinked. The file on me? Standard protocol. Anyone near me gets a file. I didn't sign up for this. You did when you pulled me from that car. Nora's voice was sharp, but her eyes softened.
Just barely.
You're not a prisoner, Isabel. You can leave any time. But you won't survive out there.
Not now.
Inside, the house was colder than the rain outside. Marble floors, towering ceilings, chandeliers that looked like they cost more than Isabel had seen in her life. She felt the weight of it press against her skin. She didn't belong here. And Nora belonged too well. As staff moved silently through the halls, Nora led Isabel upstairs to a private wing. The bedroom was massive. Dark wood, silver details, a bed big enough to drown in. Isabel stopped at the threshold. You want me to sleep here? It's the safest room in the house. And you? Nora paused. Across the hall. Unless you'd rather I stay here. Isabel didn't respond. Nora smirked slightly and stepped past her, sitting down slowly at the edge of the bed, her injury finally catching up to her. She winced, gritting her teeth. You need to lie down, Isabel said. You're not invincible. No, Nora said. Just used to pretending I am. Isabel knelt beside her, her hands reaching instinctively for Nora's waist to check the wound. Nora tensed, but didn't stop her. You should let someone else take care of this. I did, Nora murmured. You. There it was again, that heat between them. Isabel could feel it radiating off her skin. She looked up, and Nora was already watching her, gaze flicking between her mouth and her eyes. For one long second, neither moved. Then Isabel stood abruptly. I'll get more gauze. She moved into the bathroom, exhaling hard. Her reflection looked like someone she didn't know, flushed cheeks, wild eyes, a pulse too fast to fake calm. When she returned, Nora was lying back, one arm draped over her forehead. She looked vulnerable. Real. Isabel sat beside her again and worked in silence. Nora watched her. You're good at this. I've had practice with people falling apart. Do you always put them back together? Only the ones who let me. Nora's fingers brushed against hers, a deliberate, slow movement. Isabel froze. Nora leaned in slightly. You don't have to be afraid of me. Isabel looked at her. I'm not afraid of you. You should be. Their mouths were so close now. Isabel could feel her breath, warm and slow. But instead of closing the distance, Nora pulled back. Not yet, she said softly. Not tonight. She stood, composed again. Get some rest. Things change tomorrow. Isabel lay in the bed alone, staring at the ceiling. The sheets smelled like something dark and expensive, like danger wrapped in velvet. She was inside something massive now. Not just the house, but Nora. Her orbit, her world, her gravity. And something inside her, something deep and wild, didn't want to leave. Isabel woke to the sound of footsteps. Soft, measured, but deliberate. Her eyes flew open, heart instantly racing. The room was still dark, the heavy curtains blocking the morning light. She sat up in the massive bed, breath caught in her throat, listening. A knock. 3 short raps. Before she could answer, the door creaked open, and a man stepped inside. Not the one from before. This one was older, sharper, with a serpent smile and a suit too smooth to trust. His eyes scanned the room and landed on her. So you're the girl. Isabel stood immediately, unsure whether to defend or run. Who are you? Someone who keeps this house from collapsing, he said coolly. Name's Matteo. Nora's consigliera. Is that like her assistant? He laughed once. More like her conscience. Her knife. Depends on the day. He stepped closer, gaze probing. I don't like risks. And right now, you're a walking question mark in a house full of loaded answers. I didn't ask to be here, Isabel snapped. I saved her life. And that's the problem. Matteo leaned against the wall, arms crossed. People don't do things for free in our world. So the question is, what do you want from her? Isabel didn't respond. She wasn't sure herself. Nothing. Mateo tilted his head. Everyone wants something, even if it's just the way she looks at you. Isabel's cheeks flushed. Before she could reply, another voice cut in low. Dangerous. Leave her alone, Mateo. Nora was in the doorway now, in dark silk again, her hair pulled back, eyes like glass knives. Mateo straightened instantly, just asking the necessary questions. You're not the one who decides what's necessary, she said. Her voice had changed, cold, commanding and absolute. Mateo inclined his head and left, the air tightening behind him like a noose. Nora stepped in and closed the door. I'm sorry. He's protective and paranoid. He doesn't trust me, Isabel said quietly. Neither do I, Nora admitted. But I'm trying. The honesty hit harder than a lie. Isabel sat back on the edge of the bed. You didn't tell me you had people watching me, digging into my past. I had to. My world doesn't allow blind spots. So, what did you find? Nora paused. You've never stolen anything. Never lied to get ahead. You've never even fought back. You've been invisible, Isabel. Even to yourself. Isabel swallowed hard. And now? Nora stepped closer, her voice softening. Now everyone sees you. That frightened her more than anything else. Being hunted was one thing, but being known, that was another kind of terror. One she couldn't outrun. The rest of the day passed in a blur of tension. Isabel wandered the halls, catching glimpses of silent men in suits, encrypted screens, hushed conversations in Italian. She didn't ask questions, but she listened. And she learned. This wasn't just power, it was a kingdom. And Nora? She ruled it like a shadow queen. Late that night, Nora came to her again. This time, she didn't knock. Isabel was by the window, staring into the endless forest beyond the estate. You can't sleep? Nora asked. Too quiet. It feels like it's holding its breath. Nora stepped beside her. That's because something's coming. Isabel turned to face her. What? A message. From the people who tried to kill me. They're testing the water. Waiting to see if I'll retaliate. Will you? Nora's eyes were sharp. Of course. And what happens to me when this starts? You stay close. You don't talk to anyone unless I say so. You don't leave my sight. Isabel raised her chin. And if I don't want to be protected, then you die. And so do I. That's the truth. Nora's voice cracked on the last word. Just slightly. Enough. Isabel stared at her, and something cracked open inside her chest. This woman, this untouchable, powerful, terrifying woman, was scared. Not for herself. For her. Why me? Isabel whispered. Why does it matter if I'm safe? Nora stepped closer. Because I don't want to owe the world another ghost. Because I've buried too many people who didn't deserve it. Because she stopped herself. Her breath caught. Then she reached out. Her fingers brushed Isabel's wrist, then her palm, then tangled with hers. It was soft, hesitant, human. Isabel's breath hitched. You're shaking. I don't let people touch me, Nora said. But you already have. Since the moment you pulled me out of that car. The air between them was so charged it hurt. Isabel reached up, her hand cupping Nora's jaw. Tell me to stop. Nora didn't. Instead, she closed the distance. Their mouths met, slow, deliberate, full of all the tension that had been building since that first night. It wasn't soft. It wasn't tender. It was fire and collapse and revelation. Nora kissed like someone used to control who was finally letting go. And Isabel responded like someone who'd never been seen until now. When they pulled apart, breathless, Nora rested her forehead against Isabel's. This doesn't make you safe, she said. I don't care, Isabel whispered. It makes me feel alive. Nora smiled just a little. Then stay alive. For me. Outside, the forest shivered. And in the distance something moved. The sound of glass breaking woke Isabel. For a second, she didn't know where she was. The bed was too soft, the air too cold, her skin still tingling from the memory of Nora's lips. Then the second sound came, gunfire. 3 sharp cracks. Too close. Too real. Her body reacted before her brain could. She rolled off the bed, hit the floor, heart pounding against the hardwood like a drum of war. Outside the door, footsteps. Screaming. Then silence. Too much silence. "Nora," she whispered. No answer. She didn't hesitate. She grabbed the knife Nora had left under the pillow. She'd seen it the night before, a subtle offer of trust or warning. She hadn't been sure. Now it felt like the only thing anchoring her to the present. She opened the door just a crack. Smoke. Dim lights flickering. Shouting. In Italian. Rapid and panicked. Then a gunshot. Then another. Then nothing. She stepped out. The hallway was chaos. Overturned furniture. Blood smeared across the marble. A man groaning against the wall, clutching his stomach. He looked up at her, eyes wide. "Run," he gasped. Isabel didn't. She moved forward, barefoot, the cold floor numbing the fear. She didn't know where to go, but her feet did. They took her to Nora. Down the corridor, around the curve of the stairs, into the heart of the fire. She found her in the atrium. Nora was crouched behind a pillar, gun in hand, blood on her sleeve. 3 bodies on the floor. Her hair was loose, tangled, her face drawn tight with fury. When she saw Isabel, something shattered in her expression. "What the hell are you doing?" she barked. "Get back upstairs. I heard shots." "That's because they're trying to kill us." "Then I'm not leaving you." The scream came from her chest before she could stop it. Nora stared at her for half a second, then cursed. "Stay behind me." Another round of bullets tore through the hallway. Nora grabbed Isabel by the waist and pulled her behind a stone column. Her body was flush against Isabel's back, tense, hot, trembling. "They breached the east wing," she murmured against her ear. "It's a message. They could have gone for me in the city, but they came here. They wanted me to know they're watching everything. Even you." Isabel turned her head just enough to meet her eyes. "Then let's answer." Nora looked stunned for a heartbeat. Then she smiled. "Dangerous. Beautiful. Remind me to never underestimate you again." The next minutes were chaos. Nora moved like smoke and steel, lethal, elegant, terrifying. She shot with precision, gave commands like a general, never once letting Isabel out of sight. And Isabel, she followed, ducked, listened, and survived. For the first time, she wasn't just the girl on the sidewalk. She was in the war. And part of her, the part that used to be afraid of everything, felt more alive than ever. When the gunfire stopped, and the silence came back heavy and thick, Nora lowered her weapon. "Clear," she shouted. Voices echoed back. "Clear. Clear." They were safe.
For now.
The survivors gathered. Matteo was bleeding from the shoulder, barking orders. 3 guards were dead. 1 attacker captured.
A boy.
Barely 20. His eyes wild, mouth bloody from a split lip. Nora approached him slowly. "Who sent you?" He said nothing. She crouched, gun still in hand. "Tell me, and I'll let you live." "You're already dead," he spat. "You just don't know it yet." Nora raised the gun. Isabel flinched. "Don't," but Nora didn't shoot. She stood. Turned. "Matteo, find out who he is. Fast." She walked away, without looking back. Isabel followed her in silence up the stairs, back into the room that no longer felt like a room. It felt like a cell. Or a battlefield. Nora shut the door behind them and leaned against it. Her hands were shaking. Isabel stepped forward, took them, held them. "You're okay," she said softly. "You're here." Nora let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. "You could have died. So could you. That's different." "Why?" "Because I chose this life. You didn't." "I chose you," Isabel whispered. "That stopped everything." Nora looked at her like she'd just torn the world open. Then she pulled Isabel into her arms. Not gently, not hesitantly. She kissed her hard, like she was trying to erase the taste of death. Isabel responded without thought, without fear. Their bodies crashed together in a mess of blood and sweat and raw, aching want. Hands desperate. Mouths relentless. Nora pushed her against the door, lips tracing Isabel's jaw, her throat, her collarbone. "You scare me," she murmured. "You make me want to live." Isabel gasped as Nora's mouth found her again. "Then live for me." They didn't make it to the bed. They didn't need to. The floor became everything, the only place real enough to hold them. Later, tangled in silence, Nora traced slow circles on Isabel's back. "This doesn't make you safe," she said again. "I don't want to be safe," Isabel replied. "I want to be yours." Nora closed her eyes. "You already are." The morning after the attack tasted like metal and ash. Isabel stood in front of the mirror, barely recognizing the girl staring back. Her hair was messy, her shirt still bore a smear of dried blood that wasn't hers, and the mark on her collarbone, left by Nora's mouth, throbbed like a silent secret. She touched it gently. Everything had changed. The way Nora looked at her now, like she was no longer just someone to protect, but someone to need.
To want.
To fear for. But this house, this world, hadn't changed. It was still cold, calculated, and quietly full of eyes. When she stepped out of the room, people looked at her differently. Not with pity. With suspicion. Respect, maybe. But not kindness. And definitely not welcome. Mateo was waiting in the hallway. His arm was in a sling, his face more lined than usual. "You slept in her room," he said without greeting. "Do you think I'm stupid?" Isabel met his gaze. "I think you're used to being in control. She makes her own choices now." No one makes choices in this world without consequences. Especially not her. He stepped closer, voice low. "You think saving her life gave you a free pass, but all it did was put a target on your back. Nora is not someone you touch and walk away clean." Isabel narrowed her eyes. "I'm not walking away." Mateo leaned in. "Then I hope you're strong enough to bleed for her. Because that's coming." She left him standing there and made her way to the West Wing, where Nora had summoned her. The guards let her pass now, though some still watched her like she was an explosive with no timer. The doors to Nora's office were open. Inside, she was standing at the window, back straight, dressed in all black. Her hands were clasped behind her. When Isabel entered, she didn't turn. "He warned you, didn't he? Mateo?" "He's old school. He thinks softness is a liability. And right now, I'm soft around you." Isabel stepped closer. "Do you regret it?" Nora turned then. Not for a second. The space between them was too short to hide anything. Nora's eyes found Isabel's mouth, then her neck, then back to her eyes. "But they're watching us now. Every move. Every word. Let them watch. Don't tempt them." Nora looked away, then back again. "I have to show strength today. We're hosting a summit. Families. Allies. Enemies pretending to be friends. You'll be there." Isabel's stomach turned. "Why?" "Because you're part of this now. And they need to see that." But Nora stepped closer. "You can't look at me the way you did last night. Not in front of them. And if I can't help it, then we both become weak." Isabel nodded slowly. "So, I'm your shadow now." "No," Nora said, reaching out to fix a strand of hair near Isabel's face. "You're my flame. I just need to hide you in plain sight." The gathering began at sunset. The grand hall was transformed, golden light, silk tablecloths, crystal glasses that caught every shimmer like danger disguised as elegance. Isabel wore black, at Nora's request. Understated, but lethal in how it clung to her. When they entered together, all eyes turned. And Nora didn't touch her. Not once. Not even a glance. She became someone else entirely, the queen behind the mask. Cold, commanding, untouchable. Isabel stood beside her like a silent bodyguard, nodding politely, sipping wine she couldn't taste, feeling the weight of every stare. That's when she saw her. A woman across the room. Late 30s. Red dress, dark lips, eyes like broken promises. She watched Nora with something between hunger and hate. Then she turned that gaze on Isabel and smiled. A slow, cruel smile. "Who is that?" Isabel whispered. Nora barely moved her lips. Valentina Romano. Once an ally. Then she tried to steal from me. And now she wants back in. She's watching me because she knows I don't look at anyone the way I looked at you last night. That admission hit Isabel like a shot. And still, Nora didn't touch her. Hours passed. Deals were whispered. Threats disguised as toasts. And all the while, Isabel played the role. Composed, silent, unreadable. But her skin burned under the eyes of strangers. And her heart ached every time Nora stood close and said nothing. After the last guest left, Isabel slipped away. She couldn't breathe in that room anymore. She made her way to the balcony overlooking the courtyard. The night was cool, but her skin was hot. Burning. You disappeared, came Nora's voice behind her. Isabel didn't turn. I'm tired of pretending I don't want you. Nora was beside her now. You think I don't feel the same? Then why do you act like I don't exist the second we're around them? Because if they know what you are to me, they'll use you. And if they don't know, they'll still come for me. At least let me feel like I'm yours before they do. Nora reached for her. Finally, her hands found Isabel's waist, pulled her close. You are mine, she whispered. But I don't want to break you.
Too late, Isabel said. You already did. Now you have to keep me.
Nora kissed her then. Not like the night before. This was slower.
Deeper.
A promise, not a reaction. A claim. When they parted, breathless, Isabel rested her forehead against Nora's. Valentina's going to come for you.
No, Nora said.
She's going to come for you. Because now she knows you're the weakness I never had before. Then make me your weapon instead. Nora smiled, dangerous and aching. Careful what you ask for, Isabel. In this world, weapons get used. The morning after the summit felt wrong. The halls of the estate were too quiet, the air too still. Nora was gone before Isabel woke, leaving only a note scribbled in sharp handwriting. Meeting. Stay inside. Do not speak to anyone. But Isabel was tired of being protected like glass. She wasn't breakable. Not anymore. She wandered through the West Wing, ignoring the way the guards' eyes followed her, how silence stretched around her like a warning. Downstairs, a voice caught her attention.
Low.
Feminine. Dangerous. So that's the girl. Isabel froze just before the door to the lounge.
She didn't need to peek to know.
It was Valentina. She doesn't look like much, the woman continued. But I suppose that's the point. Nora always liked the ones who didn't see the knife in their own back. Another voice.
Male.
Nervous. She saved Nora's life. They say she pulled her from the car herself. Valentina laughed.
Cold.
Of course she did. Every queen needs a pawn who thinks they're playing chess. Isabel stepped into the room. I can't hear you. Valentina didn't flinch. She turned, her mouth curling into something that pretended to be a smile. Good. It's time someone started listening. Isabel stood tall. You don't know me, but I know women like you, Valentina replied, circling her slowly. You think you're special because she touched you.
Because she let you in.
But Nora is a storm, darling. And storms don't love. They destroy. Isabel didn't back down. Then why are you still here? Waiting. Watching. Hoping she'll look at you again. That struck a nerve. Valentina's eyes darkened. You're brave. I'll give you that. Brave and stupid often wear the same face. She stepped closer, too close, her voice dropping. You won't survive her. Maybe not, Isabel said. But I won't survive without her either. Valentina's smile vanished. You should be careful with declarations like that. In our world, love is a weapon, and people like me know how to turn it against you. She left without another word. Isabel stood there, breath shaking. The walls felt closer now. The air colder. When she finally found Nora hours later, the woman was in her office, surrounded by files, men in suits, the tension in the room thick enough to choke on. Nora dismissed everyone with a single glance when she saw Isabel. You left the room, she said, not angry, disappointed. I warned you. Valentina was talking about me, Isabel replied. Like I was a target. or a parasite. I had to know what she wanted. Nora stood. Her jaw clenched. She wants to watch you fall. Because she knows if she breaks you, she breaks me. Isabel crossed her arms. Then why is she still here? Because politics are a war of patience. If I ban her, it makes me look weak. If I kill her, it starts a war I'm not ready to finish. And if she kills me? Nora stepped forward. Her hands gripped Isabel's face with a quiet desperation. She won't. I won't let her. Isabel searched her eyes. I can't live in fear, Nora. I want to be with you. Not hidden, not silenced. I want to be part of this. Being part of this means drowning with me when the tide comes in. Then drown with me. Nora kissed her. Hard. Her hands trembling. Isabel could taste something bitter in her mouth, fear, maybe, or anger. They didn't make it to the bed this time either. The desk was enough. Books pushed aside. Papers crumpled under desperate hands. Nora kissed like she was losing her grip on the world, and Isabel was the only thing anchoring her. After, Nora held her longer than usual. Tighter. There's something I need to show you, she said. But you won't like it. Then show me anyway. Nora led her to a lower level of the estate, one Isabel hadn't seen. It was a vault. Reinforced steel. Inside, a wall of screens. Footage. Maps. Surveillance. What is this? My network. Every movement. Every enemy. Every friend. Isabel approached a screen showing footage from a cafe. A woman in a red dress. Is that Valentina? Yes. Meeting with someone we thought was loyal to us. She's planning something. She's already started. Nora turned to face her. There's a mole inside this house. Someone feeding her information. You think it's Matteo? Nora's silence was an answer. Isabel stepped back. If she knows about us, about what we are, then she'll strike soon. And she'll strike through you. Then use me, Isabel said. Let her come. Let her try. Nora's voice cracked. If I lose you, you won't. But they both knew. The storm had already started. The plan was simple. Lure Valentina out. Let her believe she had won. Make her confident. Reckless. And then close the jaws. Isabel was the bait. It wasn't said aloud, but they both knew it. She started appearing more often in the hallways. Sitting at Nora's meetings. Laughing louder. Touching her more openly. The staff whispered. The guards looked. Matteo seethed. Valentina noticed. Always watching. Always calculating. The game was on. Nora's orders were clear. Act like everything was normal. Pretend to be lovers on the edge of obsession. Let the whole house feel it. Let Valentina see how much Isabel meant to her. Because only then would she strike. The first sign came 2 days later. A note. Slipped under Isabel's door. No signature. Just 5 words. She won't protect you forever. Isabel showed it to Nora. Nora's jaw clenched so tightly her neck trembled. She's getting bolder, Isabel said. Good, Nora replied. It means she's close. That night, they laid the final piece of the trap. Isabel would be alone in the East Gardens, just after dusk, pretending to take a call. Vulnerable. Exposed. Valentina would come. Or someone would, someone close enough to her to act. The guards were hidden. Matteo was informed. Nora would be watching from the surveillance room. It was perfect. Until it wasn't. Isabel waited by the fountain, pretending to speak into a burner phone, her heart hammering so loud, she thought it would echo. The minutes passed. The sun dipped low. Still nothing. And then, a rustle. Behind the hedge. She turned. Valentina? Silence. Then a hand grabbed her from behind. Cloth pressed to her mouth. Isabel kicked, twisted, bit. But the world spun. Her limbs went heavy. Her vision blurred. A voice whispered in her ear as she collapsed. She made you brave, but she made you stupid, too. Darkness. When she woke, she was tied to a chair in the wine cellar. Cold concrete. Dim lights. The smell of damp wood and betrayal. In front of her, Matteo. He was pacing. Slow. Come. I warned her, he said. Told her you would be her weakness. And now look. You've made her blind. Isabel's voice was thick. You're the mole. Don't flatter yourself. This started long before you. But you made it easier.
Softer.
You're going to kill me? Not yet. He crouched in front of her. First, I'm going to break her. She'll find me. I'm counting on it. Upstairs, Nora was tearing the house apart. When the feed cut from Isabel's camera, she knew. When the guards found nothing in the garden, she snapped. Mateo, she whispered. Then louder. Find me Mateo. But he was already gone. Her fists hit the surveillance table hard enough to crack the glass. Get everyone, she barked.
Now.
Minutes later, she stormed into the cellar with a fury no one had ever seen. She didn't knock.
She didn't speak.
She shot the 2 guards with Mateo without hesitation. Blood splattered the walls. Mateo stepped back, hands raised. You won't shoot me. Try me. I built this with you. Then I'll burn it with you in it.
He laughed.
All this for a girl? Nora didn't answer with words. She pulled the trigger. The bullet hit his shoulder.
He dropped.
Screamed. Nora crossed the room, eyes wild, and cut Isabel free. Isabel collapsed into her arms, breath ragged. I'm okay, she whispered. I'm okay. Nora held her so tightly it hurt. You're not allowed to die, she muttered. Not before I tell you she stopped. Swallowed. Not yet. Isabel looked up at her. Say it. Nora kissed her. Rough.
Desperate.
Their mouths crashed like waves, hands frantic, needing to feel skin, breath, life. She carried Isabel to the far wall, pressing her against it. Their bodies moved with fury and need and something deeper. Nora kissed every bruise, every breathless word. She stripped away the fear with her hands. And when they finally slowed, tangled together on the cold floor, Isabel whispered, If this is war, I'd still choose to fight for you. Nora buried her face in Isabel's neck. Then I'll win for you. The day after Mateo's betrayal, the house became a tomb. No one smiled. No one whispered. Everyone watched. Nora had changed. Something cold settled into her again, but now Isabel could see through it. She could feel the war Nora was fighting behind her eyes. Regret.
Rage. Guilt.
It was the first time she had killed someone she had once trusted. And it would not be the last. Valentina won't wait long now, Nora said that morning, sitting at the edge of the bed, her gun resting beside her like a second spine. She'll take Mateo's death as a declaration. Isn't it? Isabel asked, wrapping the silk robe tighter around herself. Her thighs still bore marks from Nora's mouth the night before, a war of their own, tangled in bruises and moans, and whispered, I can't lose yous. Nora exhaled slowly. We don't have time to grieve. Or to love. Not yet. But you do, Isabel said gently. You just think you don't. Nora looked at her. Not like a queen. Not like a soldier. Like a woman. You're the only thing keeping me human right now. That afternoon, Luca, one of Nora's top men, returned from a mission. His face was pale. Jaw clenched. We found something, he told Nora privately. Isabel stayed near the door, listening. What? Valentina's moved into one of the safe houses. Not alone. Who's with her? A pause. Rafa. Nora went still. Ice filled the room. Isabel stepped closer. Who's Rafa? Nora didn't look at her. My ex. And once, my second in command. You trusted her? With my life. Until she sold one of my men to a rival family. Isabel's voice dropped. She betrayed you.
Yes.
And now she's back. With Valentina. Do you still love her? The question came out before Isabel could stop it. Nora's eyes flicked to her, sharp and unreadable. I don't know if I ever did. That was the truth, and yet it wasn't enough. That night, Isabel went to the training room. She needed to move, to sweat,
to hit something.
Nora had shown her how to fight in the past weeks, not just to defend but to survive. She was fast,
smart,
but still new. She threw punches at the sandbag, harder and harder, until her knuckles burned. You're going to break your hand, came Rafa's voice. Isabel froze. Turned. The woman stood in the doorway. Black jeans. Leather jacket.
Cool.
Confident. Sharp like a knife. You're her new pet, Rafa said, stepping inside. Cute. You shouldn't be here, Isabel growled. I go where I want. You betrayed Nora. I protected her the only way I knew how. But you're not protecting her. You're distracting her. Isabel moved forward. You don't know anything about me. I know what you taste like, Rafa smirked. Because she tastes like you now. And I remember exactly how she used to taste. Isabel's slap was instant.
Loud.
Rafa's head turned with the impact. But she didn't flinch. She smiled. Now that's interesting. Nora arrived seconds later. Get out, she told Rafa.
Now.
I came to warn you, Rafa said, rubbing her jaw. Valentina isn't waiting. She's striking tomorrow. At the port. Why would you help me? Nora asked. Because I don't want her to kill you, Rafa said, and then looked at Isabel. Even if part of me wants to kill her. She left. Silence fell. Nora looked at Isabel, and something in her eyes cracked. I never touched her like I touch you. Isabel nodded, but her voice was shaking. She still wants you. She doesn't know me anymore. You do. That night, they didn't speak much. They held each other in bed, their bodies tight together, hearts thudding. Isabel couldn't sleep. Her mind kept circling Rafa's words. The taste. The history. The threat. In the middle of the night, she sat up. Nora stirred. What is it? Don't go to the port. I have to. It's a trap. I know. Then why walk into it? Nora sat up, bare shoulders glowing in the moonlight. Because if I don't end this now, she'll keep coming. And eventually, she'll find a way to take you from me. Isabel touched her face. Then let me come with you. No, yes. Isabel, you can't fight for me and keep me in a cage at the same time. If I'm yours, let me be yours everywhere. Nora stared at her. Then finally she whispered, okay. And just like that, the war would be fought side by side. At dawn, they would go to the port. And only one queen would leave standing. The port smelled like salt, rust, and blood long spilled. It was still dark when Nora and Isabel arrived. Black SUVs parked in a staggered formation, headlights off, weapons loaded. Nora was all in black, a long coat hiding the twin pistols at her waist. Isabel wore fitted armor beneath her clothes, her hair tied back, eyes alert. It was the first time she looked like a soldier. Not a girl. Not a victim. You stay behind me, Nora said. Until I say otherwise. Isabel nodded. Unless you fall. I won't. But they both knew even queens can bleed. The plan was simple. Negotiate. Distract. Strike. But Valentina had never been one to follow rules. She was already waiting at the dock, dressed in white, like a twisted bride. At her side, Rafa. Her eyes found Nora first, and then Isabel. You brought her, Valentina said, almost amused. Of course you did. It's poetic, isn't it? Let's all bleed for love tonight. You've already lost, Nora said, stepping forward. You're outnumbered, outgunned. But not outplayed, Valentina purred. You see, I didn't come to bargain. I came to bury you. At that moment, shots rang out. Not from Valentina's side. From the rooftops. Snipers. Hidden. Waiting. Nora tackled Isabel to the ground just as a bullet shattered the air above her. Chaos exploded. Nora's men returned fire. Screams tore through the dark. Rafa ducked behind a crate, barking orders. Valentina disappeared into the shadows. Isabel crawled after Nora, adrenaline turning her into something raw and fierce. You okay? Nora shouted. Fine, Isabel gasped. Where is she?
Gone.
She's trying to flank us. Stay low. Isabel gripped her gun. I'm not hiding. You're not. You're fighting with me. Side by side, they moved through the docks, bullets slicing the air, bodies falling. It was war. Pure, brutal, ugly war. And somewhere inside it, beauty. Because Nora never once let go of Isabel's hand. Not when they ran. Not when they fired. Not when Nora took a bullet in the arm and still kept moving. You're hit, Isabel said, voice tight. Just a graze. You're bleeding. So are you. Isabel looked down, her side was wet. She hadn't even noticed. They reached a corridor between stacked containers. The sounds of gunfire faded for a moment. Then Valentina stepped out from the smoke. Alone. Blood on her temple. A knife in her hand. How romantic, she said, looking between them. The girl and the queen. One heart between two bodies. It ends now, Nora growled, raising her gun. You won't shoot me, Valentina said. Not until I hurt her first. And she lunged. Too fast. The blade caught Isabel across the ribs. A scream tore from her lips, not from pain, but fury. She shoved Valentina back, gun falling from her grip. Nora fired, missed. The two women crashed into each other. Nora tackled Valentina to the ground. They fought like animals.
Blood. Teeth.
Hands clawing. Then, silence. Isabel stood frozen. One heartbeat. Then another. Nora rose slowly, blood pouring from her lip. Valentina lay still, the knife buried in her own chest. She chose to fall, Nora said, voice flat. Like all monsters do. Isabel dropped to her knees. I'm okay. I'm okay. You're bleeding. So are you. Nora reached for her. Their hands met in the dark. Sirens in the distance. Their men had secured the docks. The fight was over. But Nora wasn't looking at the wreckage. She was looking at Isabel. You could have died. But I didn't. You took a knife for me. You took a bullet for me. I'd take every one, Nora whispered, voice cracking. Isabel cupped her face. Then stop holding back. Say it. I love you, Nora said. Just once. But it hit like thunder. Isabel smiled, tears mixing with blood. Say it again. I love you. Nora kissed her like it was the first time. And the last. And the only one that mattered. When the police arrived, the estate's lawyers were already moving. Valentina's body disappeared. The story would be rewritten. Nora would remain untouched. But Isabel was now written into the legend. The girl who became a weapon. The woman who became her queen's war. The estate was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of silence that comes not from peace, but from aftermath. From bodies buried in unmarked graves, from words spoken too late, from love confessed in blood. Isabel hadn't left her room in 3 days. The doctors had cleaned the cut along her ribs, stitched it with expert hands, but it wasn't the wound that kept her still. It was the weight of survival. Of everything they had lost. Everything they had almost lost. She traced the bandage with her fingers, thinking of Nora's voice. I love you. The words echoed louder than any gunshot. But she hadn't seen Nora since that night. Not really. They had been driven back from the port in separate cars. Medical teams. Lawyers. Cover-ups. Nora had vanished into logistics and silence. And Isabel was starting to wonder if love could really survive reality. The 4th night, the door opened. Nora stood there, dressed in black again, her eyes unreadable. You're awake. Isabel didn't answer. Nora stepped inside, closing the door behind her. I've had to clean up everything. Valentina's body. The records. The alliances she tried to poison. It's been non-stop. You didn't check on me, Isabel said softly. I couldn't. If I saw you bleeding again, I don't think I would have walked back out of the room. The words hit hard, but Isabel didn't soften. So you avoided me to stay strong? I avoided you so I wouldn't break in front of everyone who still thinks I'm untouchable. Nora moved closer, slowly. But now I'm here, and I don't care how I look. Isabel's voice cracked. I thought maybe you regretted saying it. Saying what? That you love me. Nora knelt beside the bed. Her hand reached for Isabel's, fingers ghosting over her skin. I've never meant anything more. But I didn't want those words to be tied to blood.
To fear.
I wanted you to hear them when you were safe. When you weren't shaking. when you could believe them. And now I'll say them every damn day until they're the air you breathe. Isabel's eyes filled, but she didn't let the tears fall. I need you, Nora. But not just in war. I need to know I'm part of your world when there's no blood on our hands. Then help me build that world, Nora said. Help me make something better. Something ours. She stood slowly, offered her hand. Come with me. Isabel took it. Her body still ached, but she stood. They walked together down the hall. Past the guards. Past the rooms that still smelled like fear. Nora led her to a different wing, one Isabel had never seen. The doors opened into a large, sunlit room. Soft colors. Books. Fresh flowers. A window overlooking the sea. This was my mother's space, Nora said. She used to say power means nothing if you don't have a place to feel human. You never showed me this before, because I wasn't ready to feel anything that wasn't sharp. But you make me want to soften, and that terrifies me. Isabel turned to her. You don't have to be soft, just honest. Then here's the truth, Nora said, stepping closer. I didn't fall in love with you because you saved me. I fell in love with you because even after you pulled me from the wreckage, you still looked at me like I was worth loving, like I was more than the blood on my hands. You are, Isabel whispered, and I think I was always meant to find you, or die trying. Nora kissed her. Slow, deep. No war in it, just warmth, just ache. Isabel melted into her. Their bodies found each other again, not in desperation, but in devotion. Clothes slipped off like layers of armor, and every touch was a promise. You're still here. I still want you. I still choose you. Later, lying on the sunlit rug, tangled in sheets and sweat, Isabel asked, What now? Nora brushed a strand of hair from her cheek. Now we stop reacting. We start deciding. My enemies are gone. What I do with this power is up to me. And what do you want? I want peace. And us. Nora smiled. You're not part of the peace. You're the reason I want it. Isabel closed her eyes, pressing her forehead to Nora's. For the first time in days, she breathed without pain. For the first time ever, she felt like she belonged. But somewhere far off, past the window, a phone was ringing. A new name, a new threat, a new fire. They didn't know it yet, but the world wasn't done testing them. Not yet. They tried to build something quiet. Something theirs. The days after the Port massacre were filled with slow mornings, hands laced over coffee cups, lips pressed to bare shoulders beneath sunlit sheets. Isabel laughed more now. Nora watched her like she was afraid to blink and miss it. There were still guards at every door, cameras in every corner. But in that quiet wing, the one Nora had given to Isabel, there was peace. And that was new, unfamiliar, addictive. But peace, Nora knew, was always temporary. And it shattered the morning the letter arrived. Hand-delivered. No signature. No seal. Just her name. Nora opened it slowly, already tasting the weight of whatever was inside. Her eyes scanned the page once. Then again. She went still. What is it? Isabel asked from the table, her fork frozen over a plate of fruit. A summons, Nora said. From the council. Council. The 12 heads of the 5 remaining families. The ones who let me rule this territory, under the condition that I stay in line. And now. Nora handed her the letter. Isabel read it carefully. It was written in formal Italian, but translated beneath in sharp English. You are requested, not invited, to appear before the council in person. Your recent actions have disrupted our structure. You will answer for the blood. Or more blood will be drawn. They're afraid, Nora said. I took down Valentina without permission. I let emotion guide my decisions. I let you into my world, publicly. That makes me a threat. And a weakness. You're neither, Isabel said. I'm both. And they know it. Then don't go. If I don't, they'll come here. And then no one walks away clean. Nora stood. I need to go alone. No, Isabel. If they see you without me, they'll think they were right. That I'm a distraction. A weakness. If you walk in with me, as your equal, they'll have to see I'm more than that. I'm your partner. Nora stared at her. You'll be in danger. I've been in danger since the day I pulled you from that burning car. Nora's laugh was dry.
Sad.
You should have let me die. Then I wouldn't have known how it feels to love someone who makes me brave. The council chamber was in Verona. Ancient, carved into stone, with a table older than most bloodlines. Nora entered first, dressed in tailored gray, power in every line of her body. Isabel followed, black suit, hair slicked back, eyes steel. Whispers erupted. The council sat like gods behind the table. Men in suits. Women in veils. Their leader was Don Arturo Vescari, a man whose smile had signed death warrants. Norina Moretti, he said. You were summoned alone.
And I arrived whole, she replied.
That includes her. Arturo's eyes fell on Isabel. You bring a civilian into our halls? She's no longer civilian. She's witness. Warrior. My conscience. My future. She's your lover. And your problem, Isabel said calmly. Gasps rippled. Nora didn't blink. You call me here to test me, so go ahead. Ask what you want. You killed Valentina without our blessing. She tried to assassinate me twice. I don't need permission to defend my life. You took Mateo's head off. He betrayed me. And you brought a stranger into our code of silence. Nora looked at Isabel. She knows every secret I know. And she's still here. Arturo leaned forward. Then we have one final question. If we strip you of your territory, your title, what will you do? I'll build something better, Nora said. And I'll burn down anything that tries to stop me. Silence. Long, heavy. Then, Arturo smiled. You've changed, Norina. No, she said. I've evolved. We'll vote. The room cleared. Nora and Isabel were led to a waiting chamber. There, alone, Isabel finally spoke. You didn't flinch. I wanted to, Nora said. You made me stronger. What if they say no? Nora looked at her. Then we start over. On our terms. Minutes later, they were called back in. Arturo stood. The vote was close. But you may keep your territory, under one condition. Which is? You make her official. Nora blinked. What? A seat beside you. Recognition. If you trust her so deeply, she becomes your partner in name, not just in bed. Isabel's heart raced. Nora turned to her slowly. That means stepping into a world you can't leave. I already did, Isabel said. Then say yes. Nora turned to the council. Done. When they returned to the hotel that night, the world felt different. Heavier. Realer. Nora stood by the window, her jacket off, her shoulders still bandaged from the port. You okay? Isabel asked. You just agreed to tie me to you. In front of the most powerful people in Europe. Nora turned to her. I'd carve your name into every wall if it meant they'd never touch you. Isabel walked to her slowly. Then show me. Nora kissed her like she was claiming her again, this time not with blood or fire, but with hunger. With certainty. Their bodies found the bed, again. But this time, when Nora said I love you, Isabel whispered back, then let's build the empire they're afraid of. It didn't happen all at once. Empires never do. They aren't built in a day. They're carved from silence, from blood, from the tremble in someone else's spine when they hear your name. In the 3 weeks since Verona, everything changed. Nora's power was no longer whispered. It was printed in the way people stepped aside when she entered a room, in the weight of her voice, in the new title that followed her like a shadow. Not just queen, but the one with a queen beside her. Isabel had become a name, a presence. No longer just the girl who saved Nora, she was now her equal, her partner, her blade. She handled meetings. She delivered orders. She made decisions. And sometimes, in the quiet between wars, she still reached for Nora's hand in the dark, like that first night in the warehouse, when everything was chaos and she had no idea what she was doing. Only now she knew exactly who she was. And it scared people. which was the point. On the surface, the city fell in line. But underneath, pressure built. Rivals who had tolerated Nora's reign now had to swallow Isabel's rise. A girl with no bloodline, no connections, no history. Only teeth. And love. And rage. Someone's going to test you, Luca warned them during a morning briefing. Soon. Let them, Isabel said, swirling her coffee. I'm done waiting for permission. Nora smirked across the table. My favorite sentence you've ever said. That afternoon, a letter arrived. Handwritten. Sealed in wax. No crest. But Nora knew the handwriting before the paper was even unfolded. Who is it? Isabel asked. Anna Marchesi, Nora said. The one who taught me how to shoot. The one who saved my life when I was 17. I thought she was dead. She should be. The letter was short. A request. No, a demand. Come alone. 1 hour after sunset. No guards. No Isabel. Nora crumpled the page. It's a trap. Then you're not going. She saved me once. I owe her a hearing. Isabel stood. She doesn't get to dictate terms. Isabel. I've earned my seat, Nora. If she wants a private meeting, I want eyes on every street, every rooftop, every window. I'm not losing you to a ghost. That night, Nora went to the address, an old villa on the coast, stripped of all glamour. Isabel waited in the surveillance van with Luca, watching every camera feed, every movement. When Nora entered the house, the audio clicked on. You look older, came Anna's voice. And you look alive. That's more than I expected. Do you know why I called you here? Because you want something. I want peace. Then go to church. I want you to back down. Your rise is dangerous. So was yours. And yet here we are. You were cleaner. I was just quieter. Nora's voice dropped. What are you really afraid of? A pause. Then Anna said, her. Isabel. She doesn't belong in this world. She made it hers. She'll be your end. Nora's voice sharpened. Then let it end. Isabel's chest tightened hearing that. Luca glanced at her. You okay? Keep watching. Back inside, Anna's tone shifted. There's a bounty, Nora.
Hi.
From overseas. Someone powerful doesn't like your new dynasty. Let them come. It's not just you they want. It's her. They can try. I came to warn you. Or to scare me. Or to give you a choice. Leave her. Go quiet.
Live.
Or watch them burn down everything you've built. Nora stood. Tell them this. I burned once. I survived. If they come for her, I will not survive again. I will destroy. And I will not stop. Isabel whispered. Damn right. But the tension didn't end there. Back at the estate, Nora returned late, silent. Isabel met her at the door. What aren't you telling me? Nora took a breath. The bounty is real. From Germany. Old family. They've decided we're a threat. So, what do? We hit first. Together? Always. Isabel stepped closer, voice low. Do you still think I'm the reason they'll come for you? Yes. Then tell me again why you stay. Nora's hands cupped her face. Because I'd rather die loving you than live pretending I don't. The kiss that followed was slow. Fire wrapped in velvet. They made love that night like it could be the last time. Not rushed, not wild, but aching. Intimate. Mouths lingering. Hands memorizing. And when they finally stopped, tangled in sweat and silence, Isabel whispered, Then let's end the world before it ends us. Nora's eyes gleamed. My queen. They didn't wait for war to arrive. They went to meet it. The German syndicate that placed the bounty never expected Nora and Isabel to cross the ocean. Never expected them to come knocking, not with lawyers or spies, but with a full operation. 20 men. Silent weapons. A plane bought with untraceable money. And 2 women at the center of it all, dressed in black, eyes full of storm. The plan was brutal. Precise. Nora's intelligence network had traced the bounty to one man, Heinrich Falk. Old family. Old power. Ruthless. but arrogant. He believed that women, especially women in love, were soft targets. His first mistake. They landed in Berlin under aliases. Moved in silence. No headlines. No chaos. Just the quiet rhythm of an execution. Isabel sat beside Nora in the back of the armored car as they approached the villa. She hadn't spoken much that morning. Her hands were steady, but her heart was beating like a drum in her throat. "Are you ready?" Nora asked. "No," Isabel said. "But I'm not scared. I'm angry." Nora nodded once.
Good.
The attack was clean. Swift. A knife through silk. They breached the villa at 4:17 a.m. By 4:23, Falk was in cuffs, blood dripping from his nose, pride shattered. Nora walked into the room where he was held and stood over him. "You should have stayed quiet," she said. "You should have known what I become when someone touches what's mine." Falk sneered. "You're not the future. You're a woman with a weakness." Nora stepped aside. Isabel entered, dressed in all white. Symbolic.
Calm. Deadly.
"You're right," she said softly. "I am her weakness. But I'm also her weapon." She raised the gun and shot once, not to kill. Just the leg. Falk screamed. Nora didn't blink. "You will leave us alone," she said. "Or next time, we won't be so merciful." They left him alive. Just enough to send a message. When they returned to Italy, the world was different. No one questioned their power now. No one whispered. No one dared. They were queens, not just of territory, but of loyalty, of fear, of legend. Still, even empires need to rest. Months passed. Isabel redecorated the estate, took down old portraits, hung up art that made her feel alive. Nora built programs for children orphaned by war, sponsored women-run businesses, shifted her empire from blood to influence. They didn't stop being dangerous. They just started being more. One afternoon, under the golden light of a quiet Tuscan sunset, Nora stood in the garden, watching Isabel laugh with two children from the school they sponsored. Her hands in the dirt, her cheeks flushed, her heart open, and something inside Nora broke in the best way. She walked to her, pulled her up, didn't ask, just dropped to one knee in the soil. "What are you doing?" Isabel asked, breathless. "The only thing I haven't done yet," Nora said. She didn't have a ring. She didn't need one. Her voice was enough. "I want to build the rest of my life with you. I want you beside me, not just in power, but in peace. Will you marry me?" Isabel blinked, then laughed, then cried. "I already did. That day at the port."
But yes.
1,000 times yes. They didn't have a wedding with hundreds of guests. No media. No spectacle. Just 15 people. Luca cried. So did the cook. The sun set behind the hills, and Isabel wore ivory, and Nora couldn't stop smiling. They kissed under olive trees, and the air smelled like lavender, and someone played violin in the background. After the ceremony, Nora whispered, "I thought I was born to lead alone." Isabel replied, "You weren't born to lead. You were born to survive. Loving me, that's what you chose." And she was right. They ruled. But they also lived.
Laughed.
Built. The past never vanished. But it became quieter. The ghosts stopped screaming. And every night, when Nora closed her eyes beside Isabel's warmth, she thought of a burning car, a pair of brown eyes full of fire, and a voice whispering, "Are you okay?" That was the moment everything changed. That was the moment she fell. And this quiet, this peace, this love, was the reason she never regretted it. Not for a single heartbeat. If you enjoyed this content and want to support the channel in a special way, try clicking the thanks button below. It's the one with the heart and $sign icon. With super thanks, you can make a direct contribution to the channel, which helps me keep creating awesome videos for you.